Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover BRC20s, bitmaps, the tap, and of course, we cover ordinals. We have another founder interview for you guys today. We have the Bitcoin Whales founder, and we're going to get into a lot of stuff. So there's been a lot of stuff going around, a lot of talk, and I think we're going to get the truth out today. We got to have him speak on it. So let's bring in But before we get into that, let's bring in my co-host, as always, Mr. Yagobi. How you doing, sir?
I am happy. I'm very happy. I've been wanting to get Tosyo on a call or in a founder interview for a while. So very happy that he agreed to jump on. I've been a huge fan and holder of the whales myself since they've launched. Even before, I remember whenever the frogs were like really hyped, I was hearing about what about these Bitcoin whales that are going to come out?
Yeah.
And I was listening to spaces with him and Bit God were in spaces and literally like Chinese space, like all these different like ethnicity spaces with different languages, interpreters and stuff. And I was like, this whale drop is going to be huge. And it was like a couple months after that, or a month and a half, and then the drop happened. And so I picked up a couple, and I'm happy. Community strong, so excited.
And easily the biggest community I've ever really been a part of. I'm also a whale holder, so it's make sure I just want to put that out there. And I really like when I saw the amount. What brought me to buying a whale was basically the community being so large and just it's huge. And I thought it was going to be like the next frogs, and I'm still excited for the future of this project, and I really can't wait to start digging into it.
Yeah, same. I think Tosyo and his team did a great job in terms of like building it up until the launch.
Yeah.
And so when you jump in their Discord, there's a lot of energy in there and stuff. And the follower account was there too with the Wells account and stuff. So yeah, I think they definitely did it right in terms of the build up and all that.
Oh yeah. Without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Tosyo, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how's it going, Shizzy? Yagobi. Pleasure to
Hey,
have you here.
What's going
And
yeah,
on,
thank you
man?
for yeah,
thanks for joining us.
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited for
All
this.
right. Awesome. So on this channel, we like to we're more about the people than we are about the projects. Yeah, we love projects. That's the reason why we're here. But to us, the people are the most important part. So if you could kind of give us your background, kind of let us get to know the person that you are, maybe before crypto, and kind of lead us up to that first time you heard that magical word called Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually found out about Bitcoin when I was just about to graduate high school. So that was in 2013. So at that time, it felt weird, wherein it felt like scammy or a Ponzi when you hear Bitcoin in 2013. And I was just in high school. So I didn't know that much. So I ended up failing it during that time. So fast forward when I graduated in nursing school, uh, my first job here in the States was because I'm coming from the Philippines. So I migrated here in 2018. So my first job was actually working at the prison. So it's in the state prison.
Oh
So
wow.
I was a correctional nurse. So I was dealing with inmates on a day-to-day basis.
Wow.
So
Goodness.
that would range from minimum to maximum security. And I even got locked up inside a cell with an inmate before. Like, yeah, I have a lot of crazy stories about working in prison. Yeah, yeah, a lot of crazy stuff. Uh, it's always a different day working there. So I got tired of how things are working. The system here in the States. It's quite ironic that the inmates has better healthcare than regular citizens.
Yeah, it's
And
crazy.
we as taxpayers, we tend to pay for these expenses that they're getting. So I kind of explored onto crypto. That was my motivation there. So that's how I ended up starting from crypto, from DeFi to play to earn games such as Axie Infinity. Then I ended up going to NFT collectibles from Ethereum, from Solana, then in Ordinals.
So what year is this? So obviously 13, you found Bitcoin. Are you so you're at that time are you a buyer of Bitcoin in 2013? And when did you first get into Ethereum?
So I had two choices to invest on during that time. So my friend pitched in M Goldex, which was a pyramid scheme at that time. I didn't know. So it had the word gold. So it was an easy sell for a high school student, to
Hmm.
buy M Goldex instead of Bitcoin. So it was my mistake. I didn't do my due diligence, and I just went with what everyone said. And at that time, they were doubting on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
Well, you were in high school, or you just graduated high school, so you can't be at too much fault there.
yeah, for sure. And I guess a part of my a part where I got inspired to dig in deep into cryptocurrency was to get out of the system, and as well as from Mr. Beast. Like I asked my friend like how did he got started with his journey on YouTube? Like like where are all of these funding are coming from? And my friend said that he used to do cryptocurrency in a way. So you know, you just have to find that motivation to pursue things that you want to do. And I ended up finding out about Ethereum it was a bit late for me. It was 2021 bull run. This was before Bored Ape, and it was NBA Top Shot when I first
Yeah.
discovered
Okay.
NFTs. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's a very common story. NBA Top Shot brought a lot of people in. I had no idea, but it really had the I was actually a participator too. I was actually really enjoyed it up until it became a security. So
Oh wow. Yeah, and at that time Bored Ape was minting during that time, and I was just fading it, and I ended up investing into Axie Infinity, and I had those scholars. I sure wish that I just went with Bored Ape instead of Axie Infinity. Yeah, but like
Axie Infinity did pretty decent though, didn't it?
yeah,
it
they
did.
did. The problem is I kept on reinvesting it instead of taking the profit. So I was expanding my teams during that time. So we
Yeah.
started from three individuals to ended up having 10 individuals playing for me. Everyone was happy because everyone was making money at that time.
Yeah. Axie Infinity was huge in the Philippines, wasn't it?
It was huge. Like we knew a guy. He invested 30 million Philippine peso. So I think
Uh
that's I think you just have to divide that by 56 right now.
huh.
So basically, he was making 13 million or somewhere between 10 to 13 million a month from his scholarships. So
Goodness.
he had an army like 400 individuals playing for him. So it was crazy during that time. People were buying houses.
Wow,
Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome though.
2001 was a wild year, even
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
Yeah, it was a wild year. So and I was just doing some shitcoin trading while playing Axie. So I was doing a degen stuff at that time.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so the bear market hits. How do you deal with it? What are some of your experiences?
Yeah, this bear market is quite brutal, and I would say it's safe to have to keep a Web2 job like that, especially those are recession-proof type of jobs. Like let's say healthcare, like it's gonna be around no matter what happens. Like we saw this during the COVID.
Hmm.
During the COVID, healthcare was in demand to the point that they wanted nurses to be moved to New York, and they were saying that they were gonna pay us 10 grand a week, things like that. And at that time, it's either you die from it or you take the risk. So I would say that having a stable job is really important during this time, especially when the market sentiment is not favorable for everyone. Just because nothing beats a stable job compared to a Web3 type of
Yeah.
job. Not unless you're sitting on bags from the bull run. you
Yeah.
know.
Before. Yeah. That's great. How'd you get your name out there? Like, how did you grow your following? Because, you obviously have a large following, the Well account and your account. Were you known before Ordinals, like from Solana or Ethereum, and then you just grew upon that? Or did you really grow with the Ordinal ecosystem?
I would say I grew with the Ordinal ecosystem because when I was starting out working as a community manager for projects in Solana, like like it was hard. Like it felt like people were gatekeeping. Like it felt like were gatekeeping you to the point that you can't speak to this person if you don't have this. That's how it works in different chains. It's not welcoming. And at that time, like we were stuck for 2 months, more or less, with Bitcoin West 2 having 200 or 300 followers. It picked up during the euphoria in BRC20 and Ordinals in general.
Wait,
So
200, 300 total?
yeah, that was our
Wow.
followers. So we grew the account on the first week from 300 followers to 15K on the first 7 days.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, so we weren't expecting that because our goal at that time was the moment we hit 10K, we're just gonna mint. I'm happy with 10K followers on Bitcoin,
You-
but that wasn't the case. Like everything was happening simultaneously, and I just booked a flight to go to Bitcoin Miami at that time. So when I was there in Miami, nobody knew who I was, and after the event there, like all of a sudden, Bitcoin Bell started to rally further from 300 followers to 15K. From 15K at the peak, it was 190K after a month.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
So what made you want to do the ordinals? So you're over there. So let's take it back a little bit. So you're in I guess in the bear market you started messing with Solana as a project manager.
Yeah, I was a community manager for a couple of projects. Unfortunately, I was a big holder on one of those projects, and I think it's inevitable that to see that like different chains has different rug projects in a way. So I guess I lost 20 grand from that from
Oh
that
no.
project. So I thought that working as a community manager for them would somehow break even. So I learned a few things from projects on Solana on how to create hype as well. So what I learned from being a DJ on Solana, I implemented that into Ordinals. So it was something familiar to people from Solana or Ethereum when they saw Bitcoin whales. So that was my strategy in creating that hype as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then okay, so just take us through from your journey from Solana to ordinals. Like where did you first hear about it? Were you like talking to different people? Like because obviously it just kind of came out of nowhere for us anyway. I was curious how it really struck you.
So our project wasn't supposed to be Bitcoin was. It was supposed to have a different name. It was supposed to be Timekeepers, and we were supposed to launch this in Polygon, but that wasn't the case when I watched a random YouTube video, and it was Alcoin Daily at that time. So
Oh well.
yeah, I saw Udi for the first time there, and he mentioned ordinals, and after that, I just fell into the rabbit hole, and I tried to learn as fast as I can. So the first 2 days was quite brutal for me. Everything sounded foreign to the point that nothing makes sense on the first day. And I ended up joining on the first community, which was Bitcoin Punk. So I joined right after the mint. So evidently, I ended up working with different projects on Ordinals when everything was new. Like it was so refreshing. It felt like it was 2017 of CryptoPunks. So when I joined there was only one wallet. It was only Sparrow, zero marketplaces. Everything was new, and everyone was doing OTC trading in Bitcoin Punks during that time. From there, I discovered some alpha groups. I actually joined one of the first alpha groups during that time, and that's how I branched my socials and connecting with fellow ordinal enjoyers, if you may say.
Hmm.
And from there, I started working with other projects such as Ordinal Diamonds and so forth, such as Bitcoin Wizards.
Nice. So you were able to benefit from being early and then taking advantage and networking, which is smart. So you start planning for the whales launch, and this is starting to build up a lot of hype, right? Because I remember whenever I was hearing about the whales and seeing some of the art, I was like, I want one of those. Like I do. Like, but then like the launch, it seemed like it was like a good amount of time in between. What was the hardest part? Because this is like going from a community manager to like a big project that you're like the face of. What was the hardest part about preparing for the launch and then running this project?
I think the hardest part was to have the right team to, to communicate with. Like communication plays a big role. So there were a lot of miscommunications during the process of Bitcoin Wells, and I would say that our team wasn't prepared for this type of hype. Like we weren't expecting doing big collabs with certain brands, and like the demand for the whitelist with Bitcoin was like we weren't expecting six different chains from across different across various communities would ask for a whitelist, things like that. I would say uh that's the most challenging part is communication. Make sure that there's a chain of command. Let's say if I'm at work in IRL job grinding for 12 hours as a nurse, I need to make sure that when I'm gone, somebody can make things happen. Like I can't wear too many hats at the same time.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I remember listening to you in spaces, like I said, with BitGod. You guys were sharing space, but like going to different communities, like the Chinese community and stuff, and everybody wanted a whitelist. And I remember it seemed like I could hear a little bit of like, not stress, but like it was kind of like, you wanted to give whitelist to everybody, but like you can't give them to everybody, right? So
Yeah,
definitely,
it's hard. Like a lot of people were asking for a whitelist. We even had moments wherein collab managers were caught trying to add their
man,
extra wallets into the master list. So things like that, like
yeah,
greed coming out from a free mint. It was crazy. You know,
yeah. For sure. For sure. And I understand completely like having that right hand person. So I'm sure you learned a lot of things, going through this process. So
definitely, it was a learning curve for everyone. I'm certain.
Yeah. So take us to Mint Day. Well, how are you feeling? How did it end up, and how do you feel about it today?
The mint day, I was just nervous and at the same time excited. So I woke up around 5 a.m. in the morning. It's not, it's something I usually do, but it's just for the first time, like everything felt so new. So having your first collection to mint day like this, it was memorable for me, and at the same time I was nervous. So during the time I was worried, like I wonder how smooth was the mint during that time. So I was pleased with the mint. It's just the there was a misconception with inscribe on demand with with individuals from different chains, because they thought that they were gonna receive the whale, the Bitcoin whale, right off the bat. But in reality they're inscribing it on demand. It's not pre-inscribed. So I sure wish that I provided a more detailed context in regards to
mm,
that, to address the quote unquote FUD during that time, because it felt like they weren't pleased that it wasn't a smooth mint day, at least to those individuals outside of ordinals who were just trying to get their feet wet. Because
yeah.
for us, like it's something normal for us. Like I experienced sending an inscription on a low fee. I got it 3 months later.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like things like that, like people aren't prepared for that for sure. So I sure wish I've provided a more detailed context regarding pre-inscribe and inscribe on demand.
Yeah. Yeah, that is tough because especially if you're onboarding people from EVM chains, they don't get it. And being having experience on EVM like we all do, we can kind of understand. But I feel like we've been over here for so long that like, we're kind of used to like, oh, I got to make sure I got to increase the fee a little bit so it doesn't get stuck for 3 months. But yeah, that's awesome. You used Gamma, didn't you, to launch?
Yeah, we used Gamma because at that time, we had a couple of options. It was Luminex, Gamma, and DZ.io. So my first choice was actually DZ.io. I met them in Bitcoin Miami. Unfortunately, they weren't available for for the mint in order to launch us. So we had two options. It was either Luminex or Gamma. And at that time, I was keen on not getting botted since we all saw what happened with MXRC during that time. It was heavily botted. So when I had a call with Gamma, it felt more convincing, for at least for me, in my opinion. So that's how we ended up going with Gamma, and I was pleased with this mint process with them. Probably some individuals didn't like it because they were expecting to flip a free mint probably into something that doesn't make sense in the bear market. Maybe they were expecting to flip it for $500 or a grand. Who knows? Because like people are stuck with this euphoric stage wherein things could blow up in the bear market, but they have to be realistic because at that time, uh, days prior, OMB just extracted a lot of liquidity. Like a lot of liquidity went into OMB, so it's a bit hard to gauge at that time if what's gonna happen for the rest of the collections. You know, like after them, like what's gonna happen with those other paid mints? Like, are they gonna mint out? Are they gonna do well in secondary? Things like that are should be should be considered
Yeah.
in mints.
I'm glad that actually happened to a lot of the flippers because when they came over from Solana, because we know Solana is known for flipping like a
Yeah.
lot,
Yeah, the
and
flip culture.
yeah, and so the fact that they came over because some other Solana people that actually wanted to build and do some stuff early on, and then like they followed and but it wasn't the same mindset. It was like, oh, I'm gonna just create this 5,000 PFP. They realized how much more difficult it was than doing it on Solana, and so that's why I think a lot of them ended up leaving and stuff because they're like, oh, it's too slow over here. But it's
Yeah,
because we're in a
it was a blessing in disguise, dude.
yes, I agree. I agree because it ended up pushing all the grift majority, 95% of the grifters back out, and now there's builders here for the majority of who's here. But I think in a true bull market, it won't matter like how fast they can flip that stuff because there's time. People are going to still have and plus the environment, the ecosystem is going to get better. People are working on sovereign rollups right now. People are working on all these things to make things quicker. So I do expect that to get better. So yeah,
Definitely. Like I do think that it's either we have a layer 2 as a designated layer 2 for this to make it more seamless, or we utilize a Lightning network. So it really depends on what the consensus is in the future. But
yeah,
I do agree that it was a blessing in disguise. Like I was glad. Like for me, like I don't care if secondary doesn't have like a good floor price or what they're expecting, as long as like they were expecting to flip it for $500 just because one whitelist was sold for $500. It doesn't mean that that's gonna be the floor price for Bitcoin whales.
yeah.
So yeah, I was glad actually. They got to go back to their respective chains. You know,
No, I agree. I agree. And I think the whole messaging that everybody in Ordinals pushes about, your asset is inscribed on Bitcoin, and that makes such a big deal of like just the security of your asset and everything is going to over time, whether that takes a year or 2 years, like these projects that have communities and stuff, it will grow because if you look back, we had Jake Gallen on our show, and I know you're familiar with him because I think he interviewed you as well.
Yeah, first podcast actually with
Yeah,
Jake
yeah.
Gallen.
We
Yeah.
love Jake. He's awesome. But he gave us a history lesson, I'll tell you that, of NFTs. The first NFTs in blockchain were from Counterparty, and we're talking about like the rare pepes, the fake rares and all those things. And they're selling for like, 60, $90,000 right now. Like in this climate now, they're not selling every day. They're just very collectible type market, very specific collectors. But the fact that they were also in, on Bitcoin, people definitely look at them differently. So that thing of being inscribed on Bitcoin, immutable forever, is going to pay off in the long run.
Definitely, like everything that's inscribed on Bitcoin, like we're using the block space of Bitcoin itself, so there's true scarcity there and true permanent. So everything that's inscribed here on Bitcoin, it's here to stay.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I guess we'll get into it here. So the project is out, and so recently I think if everyone's paying attention, and especially we do a lot of market updates. We were looking at the floor price; it was looking really really good, and then all of a sudden it just cut in half. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit of what happened the last, I want to say, 2 weeks, and where are we now with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. So basically, I was trying to work out on parting ways with my previous co-founder. So it's been going on for quite a while now. Like we've been sending contracts left and right. So I guess a short backstory to this is that we didn't get to start on the contract before Mint Day. I brought it up before we even blew up that I think it's important for us to have a contract. Like it was something verbal, so it was probably forgotten during that conversation. So I've reminded my co-founder that you know probably twice or thrice, and to the point that midday is approaching, and I guess she wasn't expecting that the contract would consist of doxing, like full name and the address, which is a must, when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
legal binding contracts. That's a must. So, we had a lot of disagreements, and this is where it was it was hard to navigate through this between the two of us. So we ended up like having a different contract. She would give her own contract, and I would have it read by my paralegal. So I guess at the end of the day, we didn't get to agree on anything. And I was, a few days ago, like I was offering her, it was either to part ways or step down as an advisor, and both options were compensated. And it's just I was waiting for her response. Like let's say she didn't want my offer at that time, she could have made a counter offer, but that wasn't the case. So I do think that it was uh it was acted unprofessionally with what happened with the Discord server. So we work hard on that, on building Bitcoin whales, especially where it is right now. So we evidently made a new Discord server. So we had to move most of the holders there and try to invite more people in. So we're still in the process of doing that. And I think recently she ended up posting private DMs, which I think is going too far. Like, these are private DMs, and I think it shouldn't be seen or taken into account on a personal level, maybe only on a business aspect. So it went
Mm-hmm.
too far. So I think that's currently trending right now on X. So, for me, I'm just following what my advisors are telling me as well. Like they do have a point. Like this is uh this is something that I should just let go and just whenever somebody brings it up on Spaces or somebody reach out to me, that's the only time I would actually tell them my side, because I guess according to her statements, she was saying that I have the whole supply, the treasury. But the thing is, we have a group chat with the artists wherein everyone had a copy of the traits, the 100 traits to the 10K whale. So technically, she has the treasury as well. She just has to random generate a fresh batch of 2,000 whales. Or she could have asked the developer as well, the one who generated the whales. And these whales, they're not inscribed, so technically they're not even considered a treasury at this point. Like they're not inscribed.
Hmm.
So let's say we went with the route wherein we do a multi-sig, then we would end up inscribing the whole thing, and it would be more costly for both ends. So let's say around 7 to 8 grand for a 2,000 supply of whales. So you know, pick your poison at this point. But that wasn't the case. So I do think that it should have been addressed in a more appropriate way. I sure wish that was the case, but it wasn't. So we just have to move forward.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, sometimes, that's how you go through learning situations like that. But currently, what's the state of your position with the whales, and how are you looking forward to like moving forward, I guess?
So with the first FUD from what happened, with the Discord, the the community was actually catching the floor, and I was surprised that it dipped. The floor price was yeah, you were right. It was on a decent floor and it dipped half in half. Then all of a sudden it bounced back. And this time, it was something recent. So right now it's about to bounce back as well. So we're in a decent position. And I would say recently a fellow holder, a big believer of Bitcoin whales, offered to be to fund the whales itself. So we're supposed to have a paid mint. This was a stealth mint for the holders, wherein this would be serve as a runway for the whales, for Bitcoin whales in general, for X amount of months. So it was supposed to be 300 whales. It was a paid mint. This way, this is how I would compensate my previous co-founder. Well, now I'm not sure with what just happened. So it doesn't help her. Like it's like she she dug a deeper hole to herself at this
Mm-hmm.
point. So at this point, yeah, we didn't get to mint the 300 whales for the paid mint just because obviously people lost their confidence with Bitcoin whales, but at the same time it's slowly bouncing back right now. So there's one big believer who offered funding, so he's looking into purchasing these 300 whales right off the bat OTC.
Wow.
So so that's the case right now for us. We're finalizing it, and I spoke to a Web3 lawyer, so we're working on a contract at the moment. So another another few things that we're working on is the incubator. Like I said, this is set aside from Bitcoin. People can see this as a different entity wherein we try to onboard, whether it's innovators in the space or existing businesses from Web 2. Currently, we have between 2 to 3 business owners from Web 2 who are interested into venturing in crypto in general. So, I try to give them choices between Bitcoin and Ethereum. I try not to be biased towards them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still pending at the moment for them. On the side of Bitcoin Wells, what we're working on is the comic series. I think I did mention this in Spaces.
Yeah.
So for the comic series, it's quite simple. It's like we often see innovation here in Ordinals, yet we're we're falling behind when it comes to onboarding and educating them, simplifying things. So I guess for perspective, I think this is the best way to for us to contribute to the ecosystem wherein we try to educate individuals with Bitcoin overall and ordinals. And I guess by January, this is where I mentioned that I've I've been in talks with an animation studio. So we're gonna make sure that we close the deal with this because I do think that storytelling comes a long way into onboarding the masses and educating individuals. So think of Bitcoin whales proliferating not only the brand but also awareness of Bitcoin. So you would see those 15-second shorts. You could compare it slightly to Pudgy Penguins, but it would be something more engaging or educational. So that's what
But
we're working on with Bitcoin Wells. Even though that we started as a free mint, we try to provide value with the community.
yeah, yeah. No, I honestly, like if you could use those shorts as like teaching on like how to inscribe and like what the whole value is of inscribing on Bitcoin, and those kind of things are like educating ordinals and about Bitcoin, like you said, onboarding. That would be I think a lot of people would actually appreciate that. A lot of people that care about Bitcoin and care about the ordinal space would really appreciate that and support it. I know I would,
Sure.
so
Yeah, I'm quite excited because you know this animation studio was actually they're the wingman for Disney. So they're not like just an animation studio. So they've worked with reputable brands such as Netflix, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, brands that
gotcha.
are recognizable already in
They
the space.
freelance. They freelance for them.
Yeah, in a way. So, they rent the animation studio to work with Disney or depending on which brand. So,
Gotcha. 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 Okay. So, like the thing about Bitcoin Wells to me that I really liked the art and the idea behind it was like just you're a whale because it's Bitcoin. You know what I mean?
exactly.
It just like really like it's like instantly I was just like I want one of those because I
Yeah,
want to be a
it's
Bitcoin
easy.
whale. You know.
Yep.
But how's the do you feel like the community sentiment is starting to come back and like get energized again a little bit?
I think it came back right off the bat. So, they were quite supportive
That's
in
great.
within the community. Like it was nothing. Like they just ate the whole FUD like nothing at this point. Like
Wow, that's
it was
good.
yeah, it's a strong community. Even though that we lost the first server, it doesn't mean that we lost the community. They're still here. The ones who are mainly fudding are the ones who aren't native in ordinals by nature. So like it's really like in time it's bound to happen. Wherein those guys who were saying that ordinals are dead, I think we're gonna see them in the future coming
Oh
back to
yeah.
ordinals. Yeah, you know.
But they're gonna be like first they're gonna wish that they never left, and then paying for everything at a higher rate and everything. But yeah, I think there's a handful of large collection PFP projects that are going to be successful in the future, and Bitcoin Wells is for sure one of those. In my mind, I have the frogs, I have the wells, I have a couple other that I think that can do well. But I think new ones coming in is going to slow down, the success for the new ones coming in. So, and I think you're a great, leader of project. You went through some ups and downs as any project owner goes through, and it's a learning process. And so, you're in spaces all the time and stuff. So I think the well community is glad that you're at the head of it and you're still the face of it. So I mean, that's speaking for me, but that's
Yeah,
also speaking from the community, I would say, I hope.
mhm. Yeah, for sure. And like it's for me it like team presence matter the most. I do try to encourage the core team and the rest of the team members to be active, like whenever they can. Like, at the end of the day we can't expect people to work hard as much as the same as you or me, anyone else is. Like everybody's unique
Mm-hmm.
and they have their own certain workflow. But
Yeah.
yeah, I try my best to be around every day, every single day. So, it was a big sacrifice for me when I switched from a full-time job, paying six figures to giving up that to doing part-time job and uh using most of my time here in Bitcoin Mills. Definitely.
Yeah. So I have a question I ask a lot of the founders nowadays. So a few weeks ago we got this call called Tap, and that's from the guys over at Track, from Benny from Track. And I don't know if you dabbled in Tap at all, but there's all these always free mints. It feels kind of like February did with BRC 20s and ordinals. And I was wondering if you have looked. My first question is, have you looked over there? And my second question is, have you thought about maybe dropping some? It's over there. It's called Tap Art. Their ordinals are called tap art, and I was wondering if you were curious if you had any plans on messing with that at all, because recently we me and Yagobi, we minted a token called Biddle, and then over on Sunday we were just airdropped this really cool piece of art. Comes to come to find that it was the first original piece of art on the Tap protocol, and I was curious if you heard about it, if you're thinking about it, or anything about that at all.
I've been hearing about Tap Protocol for a while now, and I actually wanna get in touch with Benny. It's just I'm just trying to navigate how to get in contact with him at the moment. Like I wanna do my due diligence as well
Sure.
before
Yeah.
giving some insights too. But I've been hearing a lot of positive things about the Tap Protocol.
Yeah, and just to kind of elaborate on that, it isn't necessarily the art. The art is connected to it. You can actually see the art piece on there, but it's a token that actually gets deployed that attaches to each ordinal in your collection. So it's more like fractionalizing the ability to fractionalize your collection. And so, I mean, this is something like individuals could do right now. Like if I wanted to, you know, do a tap art token to my whales, I have several whales. I could do that, and then I'm thinking the way that this goes in the future is that these tokens can be broken up into smaller pieces, and then you can fractionalize it. The ordinal will be backing that token, and do you get what I'm saying?
I
So
see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I
yeah,
think it fits what I have envisioned in mind for the next 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
amazing. Yeah, I would love to speak to Benny for sure
yeah.
regarding this. So
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, let us know because your boy Shizzy is
I
got
talk to
got
Benny every day.
yeah, he talks to them all the time.
wow,
So
I see.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so we
guess we can have like a four-way call, and I can share my deck, my pitch deck
yeah,
for sure. If you guys don't
Yeah, yeah.
mind,
yeah,
for
No,
sure.
that's fun. I would love to get you in contact with Benny. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your project. I'm Benny's biggest supporter. Just because I like the project. There's no type of benefit there at all besides just mutually being friends. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see you do something on tap art. But that's just me. So
I mean, and it could be cool if it was like one of the first big collections that was like kind of partnered with it too. But do your due diligence. Like yeah, I don't have to tell you that, Tosyo. You already know. And then whenever you're ready, you can get that set up. But yeah, man. This is my last question. We're kind of running out close to that time, but let's freestyle it a little bit. Like, how are you
Yeah, sure.
feeling about the ordinal space currently, and let's talk about like short term in terms of like 3 to 6 months. Where do you see ordinals being?
I think in 3 to 6 months, like historically, we know September is always on a downtrend, so I'm not looking forward or expecting anything for September. But I do think that the next wave, this doesn't answer your question, but I just want to bring it up. But
Okay.
uh, the next wave wouldn't be anytime soon. This is the perfect opportunity for us to actually get connected with every builder out there in this ecosystem. Actually, get to know everyone, because I didn't get the chance to meet everyone during the hype. Like, it was extremely, I wouldn't say toxic, but it was extremely busy at that time, and I feel bad for missing out on some calls. That was, those individuals who wanted to reach out or connect with me genuinely. And I do think that now that the dust has settled, the hype train has subsided or has faded away, this is the perfect time to actually get to know these amazing individuals whom we will see on the next wave or the next cycle. But for in 3 to 6 months, we don't know what the future holds. But I do think that we're gonna see more innovation move forward, and as well as perhaps a better UX and UI for uh, for the infrastructure for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to help onboard. So I think you made a couple of great points. The first one about getting to know the builders right now, because you want to get to know the genuine builders that believe in ordinals right now. Shizzy and I, have been blessed to be able to do the show, and we've gotten to know you guys through the show. And I'll tell you, like, the personalities and stuff are like, where initially I was a little bit shocked, because I was like, like, everybody's like really genuine from, for the most part, right? That we've met. And then so it's a great time, because 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, whenever it's hype again, guess what? There's going to be a slew of new builders that come in, and you're not going to recognize them, especially if you're getting to know them now. You'll know who to trust and who to work with right down the road.
Exactly. Yeah,
So,
that's a good point there.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's easy. It's actually best to get to know them now instead of waiting on it on the next cycle. That's a
100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Awesome.
All right. Well, this is part of the show. We kind of give the founders of the two guys come on that we really appreciate, the kind of like their own time. So, the stage is yours. You can talk about anything you want. You can talk to the maybe potential new community members, old community members. The stage is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. So, for me, I think I've said everything I need to say on my end, with regards to updates. But I just want to thank every community member in Bitcoin Wells for endlessly supporting us, the team, who's still here, regardless what happens and regardless what the market sentiment may be. Like going back to what I pinned on the page for Bitcoin Wells, I did mention there, like regardless what the market situation may be in the future, Bitcoin Whales is here to stay, and the true definition of being a Bitcoin whale is to construe freedom. It's not about having a big bag or having high liquidity in the space, but it's to construe freedom.
Awesome.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. Again,
Well,
we appreciate you here.
Thank you
yep,
for having me here, Shizzy and Yagobi. It was a pleasure being here.
for sure. We appreciate you.
All right. Well, I guess that's the show. If you don't have anything else, man, like again, we definitely would love to do this again. If you guys have
Oh
any
yeah,
updates, please reach out. You were a
for
pleasure to
sure.
have on the show. I love your soft spokenness. It's definitely different from a lot of the people that we have, and we really appreciate you, man. We really do.